you got the wolf. And I'm like,
We've all seen what happens when Louis sheds his antlers, which is brutal.
Sights fights like a beast.
Time there's like any like intimacy in the show,
Yeah.
she gets super uncomfortable, so we just like lean into that.
Oh, God. If I do it for you now, there's going to be no point for you to watch it. So I'm
Now, coverage like no other. Bringing you videos from the event floor. You're watching convention coverage.
What's that show called?
Beastars?
Beastars?
Yeah.
Throw her to the wolves.
Somebody last night had a real hard time, like, parsing the fact that it was two words put together, like a portmanteau. And it was like, I had to sit there and explain that literary device to them for like 10 minutes. But they got it eventually. Beastars. That's why we're here.
So y'all here for Beastars?
Yeah. Cool.
Yay!
I think this is the first time.
Yes. This
All three
is
of us
our
together.
first in-person Beastars panel, you guys.
Yeah. This is
Very
it.
first.
The Avengers have assembled.
We've done a Beastars panel on my Twitch channel, but that's not the same.
No,
It's not nearly the same. And it's actually our first convention all three
Yeah.
of us
Yep.
together.
So yeah, it's a momentous event. We're excited.
It is. And I actually have this backpack, so I'm very excited.
So that means
That we all
have
share it.
the same backpack.
Did you just
We just bought it.
you just what say that in unison again? It was perfect.
We just bought it.
Worth.
Like they're meant to be.
Worth. Crap.
What?
You guys know
On
who
the
we
far
are?
left, who are you?
I'm Griffin Puatu. I'm the voice of Louis in Beastars. Yay! Hooray!
Yay.
Who are you?
Hi, my name is Jonah Scott, and I voice Legoshi in Beastars.
Play the best awkward boy ever.
I'm still awkward.
You were very awkward.
No.
I'm Lauren Landa, and I voice Juno in Beastars. I am so excited. I've been to SacAnime a couple times, but I'm so excited to have my Beastars boys with me here because I love them both
Lord.
dearly. So, and actually, funny story, real quick. The entirety of Beastars has been released throughout the entire.
Isn't that weird?
The first time it came out, we had a viewing party.
It was the day before.
It's kind of weird. It was like poetic.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Yes, we can take questions now.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where you voice acted in a way that wasn't 100% in the studio?
Well, if you count remote recording, yes.
Yeah.
But for when you do big AAA video games and they do motion capture or performance capture, they'll put you in this suit with a head mounted camera, a microphone, and you'll be able to move around. And they have different props and things for that. I've done that before, and it's cool. You get to memorize your lines. You get to interact with the other actors. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
For anime, no, but like remote recording for sure. It's so weird too because all of my credits in anime and video games and animation for that matter have come in the last 2 years. And I've just been working consistently for the past 2 years, but that's all been during the pandemic. So it's all been remote. For the most part, I refused to record Beastars remotely just because I wanted to be able to focus on the performance. And they were like, "Sure, you can come on in. That's fine." We were worrying that you wouldn't want to come in, but there have been other shows where for distance prohibits me going in for things like Funimation and thank you, yeah, distance prohibited me from going in.
You can see your gorgeous face, Joe.
Thanks, guys. I didn't shave today, just for you. This is remote recording has been an absolute boon to my career. I wouldn't be an Attack on Titan if it wasn't for Lauren, but if it wasn't for remote recording. Mike McFarland, who was here this weekend, was kind enough to kind of throw me a bone and let me try things out in Attack on Titan without really ever even working with me before.
And kind of a side note, that's a full circle for you.
Yeah, I started out, fun fact, I started out voice acting, amateur voice acting, doing like Attack on Titan fan dubs and stuff like that. I'm huge into the fandom, and it's full circle because now I canonically voice Willie Tybur in English. And it's kind of whack. But yeah, I wouldn't get those opportunities if it wasn't for the ability to record in different scenarios. Yeah, like Griffin was saying, I'm taking classes on mocap, which again was very much hindered by you couldn't get together and breathe the same air as somebody in a 10 by 10 room for like a year and a half. So I had to cancel my classes. I had to put that stuff off. I had to, focus on anime more. I had to focus on remote recording and honestly streaming as a source of income, and other sources of income that I had, like signings online, things like that. But yeah, that's my end game. Honestly, I really want to do on stage kind of performance capture, motion capture. I feel like that's something that I could do really well at. I just need to learn how to do it.
Who here has played Dying Light 2?
Anybody? Hey, there's like 10 people here played Dying Light, AAA video game, Dying Light 2. I voiced Aiden Caldwell in Dying Light 2. He's the main character. No, just minor flex. It's.
What they said.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Time.
Yeah. Of course.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Aww.
So I have a question.
That scared
What?
the crap out of me.
Do you guys do specifically to get into your characters?
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a cosmetic process. I kind of, just put some spirit gum on my arms and put like fake fur on my arms, and I put Juno ears on just to. No, I'm just.
One antler at a time.
You could just get a fursuit.
I mean, we've all seen what happens when Louis sheds his antlers, which is brutal.
Yeah.
So, which I didn't know that was a thing until I watched Beastars. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Did you know, Griffin?
That they have to shed their antlers? Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's
Oh,
a
wow.
sort of rite of
See,
passage. for
Beastars is not only beautiful, it's educational.
Yeah, scientifically accurate. Painfully so sometimes.
I'm sorry. The question was, what do we do to get into character? Does anybody have a question?
Yeah. I watch the 1984 movie Teen Wolf.
Nice.
No, to get into character, I had answered this question a couple of weeks ago, but for voice acting, it's kind of weird because we don't get a lot of like scripts ahead of time to like study and like do wood shedding and things you would normally do for like a stage show. So a lot of us getting into character is, and I don't know if Griffin would crucify me for this, but archetypal. It's a lot of you taking an archetype and using that to get you halfway there, and then covering the rest with your skills and what you know how to do, what you know sounds good. A lot of it is following trends, honestly. For things like JRPGs or certain anime, you just got to know how these kind of people sound, and then you got to kind of shoehorn yourself into that sound and try and make it sound as good as you can, using your voice and obviously giving as much of your personality to it as possible, because at the end of the day they want to cast you. They're not going to cast the character as the character. They want to cast you as the character. So getting into character is more a light mental exercise for a lot of us. Sometimes it's a little more emotional, but that's just show by show.
Yeah, it depends on how much time we're given. Usually for anime, we get the audition and then we go straight into recording if we get cast. If you're doing original animation or a video game, sometimes you'll get the script in advance, so you'll get some time to prepare and kind of break it apart. But yeah, it sort of depends. Yeah.
For me, I honestly don't really know what my process is. The moment I step into either my booth or a studio booth, I just kind of let the outside world go, and
She's that good.
I'm that. I try to be at least. So that's right. Here, let me do it again. Hold on.
Oh baby. It's also a lot of. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh.
I have that effect on people.
Yeah,
It's fine,
no,
Jonah.
stunning.
It's a distraction.
Yes. So, well, if you think about it, we can come back to it.
Okay.
Yes,
Sounds good.
we'll come back to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Seth.
I love your
Appreciate
hat.
it, Seth.
Anyway, my question is, what's your favorite scene or moment in the show? I have.
Oh
Oh
no.
boy. Okay. I have one. Do you have one?
Yeah.
I
yeah.
know, right? My favorite question.
Yeah.
Go for it, Griffin.
My favorite scene is Kibi in the hospital. That's my favorite scene.
That's a good one.
I think it captures the whole show really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have two. I got to fulfill an anime dream, and I got to get my ass kicked by Patrick Seitz, which was so good. I got cast in a game that he was directing a while ago, and when he brought me in, he was like, "Hey, haven't seen Beastars yet, but I did see when I kicked your ass, and you sounded great." And I was like, I melted because it's Patrick Seitz, right? I was like, he's a god to me. But that was one.
so cute.
And then the second one is when we, in season 2, Griffin, you and I had that, we were on the overpass and we do the whole leg thing.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God. So good. So good.
Okay, well, I have more than two. So, first off, my first favorite from the first season is the scene between Louis and Juno.
I think I can name all your favorite scenes.
Yeah.
You probably could. You probably could. And I love that scene because it's okay. It's just hot. Can we just say it? It's just hot. So that's my first favorite scene. The second one that I love, I actually do love the scene where Legoshi and Juno meet for the first time because it's very precious. And Legoshi, being the best awkward boy that he is, just really wants to help, and then he realizes, oh man, we don't look anything alike. This is and it's just so cute. And you're so
He's
good
trying.
at being awkward.
He's trying,
You're
so
good.
She never finishes a sentence.
Precious. And then another one that I love is you guys know what I mean when I say the mouth scene, right?
Oh yeah, that was fun because we didn't have to you couldn't see Legoshi's mouth for a lot of it. It was all mostly Juno's mouth, and I got to improvise a lot of not necessarily improvise, but I got to just. There was a line, and I'm just like, I don't like that, so I'm gonna change it. And Bob was like, yeah, you do you. So I got to move it around and have all kinds of non-verbal reactions to what's in her mouth and things like that. It's great.
I'm sorry. You want to see my mouth?
Yeah, just hold it right there. Yeah, okay.
It's so funny.
This is why Louis had to leave.
That's one of the many reasons. And there's just so many other great scenes. Riss is terrifying. He is terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
The scene where he's scraping his nails
ceiling?
on the
Oh,
ceiling.
God.
I'm like, I am so freaked out
That is
by
such
this.
an iconic manga panel.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I also love this scene where, again, Juno and Louis are dancing in the second season. I think that's really
It's
sweet.
beautifully animated, too.
It's beautiful, and I have not read the manga, and please don't anybody spoil it for me because I truly have not read anything. But I love what I believe is starting to form between Louis and Juno.
Yeah.
So
A
I
nice
like
friendship.
Yeah, a wonderful
A
friendship.
wonderful friendship.
it. Wonderful friendship.
My favorite moment is a Jack scene. I wish the voice actor for Jack was here.
Me too. I love that.
Yeah, that's
you.
great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for your
Thanks so
question.
much.
Appreciate it.
We miss Ben and we love Ben.
We do love Ben.
What scene would you say did you have the most fun recording, or what was the coolest line you've had?
Okay.
Oh.
That's a good question.
I'm going to be the next Beastar at this school.
Oh my.
It's probably one of my favorite
good one.
lines is Juno. What was the other part of the question? Favorite scene to record?
Or the most fun you've had?
The most fun. Honestly, probably the mouth scene. The
Yeah.
mouth scene was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of...
I was recorded for that, and you got to listen to me, right? I did that first. I don't think you were there.
I did not hear, if you were
Okay,
in there, I
all
did
right.
not hear you,
Okay,
which
good.
is a shame because, actually, no, it's probably good because I probably wouldn't have been able to record. I probably wouldn't have been able to record. I probably would have just kept laughing. And I don't remember if I was with Megan or I think I was with Megan.
Megan would have brought you
Oh
back
boy.
down
Yeah,
to
Megan.
earth.
Megan would have been like,
Oh
you
my
reel it
God.
back
Really
in.
need-
Come on.
So we have two directors of the show. Bob
Diametrically
Buchholz
opposed.
And his daughter Megan. And Megan is we make fun of her so much for this. Megan, loves being a part of it, but at the same time, she is very weirded out by Beastars.
She can't get past the anthropomorphic characters.
She can't. And so every time I record with her, I'm just like, Megan, I swear, I think Juno and Louis are going to kiss this season. I just really think she's like, Lauren! Stop.
It's hilarious.
Weird.
Because
And
Megan,
it's so
I would do certain emotional, really emotional scenes, and I would kind of I would put my heart into it and almost cry at some points, and then the talk back would come on, and I'd just hear Megan go. I was like, okay, I guess, does that mean we need a second one or whatever? It's fine, it's fine.
She's like, whatever, let's just move on.
But I think my favorite thing to record was Legoshi and Pina's conversation in the warehouse that they had.
Oh, backstage?
Yeah, backstage.
Yeah.
Because I got to ad lib. I always try and ad lib an SOB anywhere in a show that I'm in. I always try and say that at some point, just because that's just a habit that has started to develop, and my characters start to say that for some reason. But also, Kaylee is an incredible actress.
She's wonderful as Pina.
She's really good. We bounce off each other really well. She's become a very good friend of mine. We stream together on Twitch sometimes. And yeah, she knew what she was doing. We both did. We were killing it, and I got to hear her. Thank God. So I got to play off of her performance. It was really great. So that was probably the one where I had where I really enjoyed the performance. But having the most fun is definitely fighting. I love fighting in shows. Period. I love screaming. I love yelling. It hurts, but I love screaming. I love yelling. I love especially when you know that kind of thing is coming up, and you can drive down the 405 singing Motley Crue and warming up. But yeah, I love all the fights, especially with Sights. Sights fights like a beast. It sounds great.
Wait, a beast in Beastars?
Yes. Yeah, like that. Zing. Good night, everybody.
That was some sad language.
But yeah,
My favorite scene to record was the final scene in season 1 of Louis. It's just it's the first scene that he kind of breaks character and kind of starts showing casting off the person he was pretending to be. And it's very emotional. It has a lot of up and downs. It gets very loud and very quiet, and kind of settles in this weird place, and then he laughs. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite scene. My favorite line? I don't know. There's a lot of great ones.
It's great because we were able to. Bob gave us a lot of freedom to mess around with a lot of the lines itself, and Bob he's a veteran. I mean, he's Gene Starwind. He's the Gene Starwind. So we were able to work together and have some really genuinely funny, fun, interesting, poppy dialogue that he just let us mess around with because he trusted us as actors.
And you guys sound fantastic together.
So do you.
Oh, thanks.
Well, thank you for your
Thank
question.
Thank you so much.
Great question.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so do you guys have a blooper that was pretty memorable to you guys, or no?
A blooper.
Griffin, you have to have some.
Did we weren't dropping
I don't
bombs.
know.
We weren't dropping any bombs.
The funny stuff happens in between takes because Megan is so uncomfortable with
That's
everything
true.
that's happening.
That's really true.
And
We
it's 100%
Megan
with her all the time.
Yeah, Megan gets to us, but because we know that she's awkward around the show, we can get to her so easy.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
ridiculously simple.
Anytime there's any intimacy in the show,
Yeah.
she gets super uncomfortable. So we just lean into that.
Yep.
It's like in the second season when there's for lack of a better term, the dancer.
Oh, yeah.
The dancer. She was so bothered by that.
Whoa, does that
It was
dough have?
She's like, yeah.
What?
She's like, I don't understand it, and I'm like, just take
Just
it all
roll
in,
with it.
Megan.
You don't
Just
have to.
take it all in. It's fine.
Let's
it's
get
fine.
weird, Megan.
Exactly. So.
But none for lines I can think of. No.
During that warehouse scene, we were trying to figure out because when Legoshi is leaving, he stubs his toe. And as he's leaving, he says, I'm going to go eat some vegetables or something like that because he was angry and he wants to hate eat. We were trying to figure out what to say, and Bob kept suggesting some of the weird, and that's where I decided to plug the SOP. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. But he started saying the weirdest lines, and I eventually was just like, why don't I Bob, can I say SOB? And he's like, sure, whatever, just go for it, dude. That's fine. Does it work? Yeah, it works. Okay, we're good.
There were no bloopers in the Legoshi cross-dressing scene? There were no.
No, that was clean.
no.
That was
clean
clean.
and
Yeah,
easy.
that was
Yeah.
calculated. I knew that was coming a year in advance.
I couldn't get through that scene without bursting into tears. It was absolutely
And
perfect.
Don't
and
think for a second that I didn't fret about that because I knew it's a big thing. Everybody knows what it looks like. Everybody knows the scene, and everybody kept asking me, "What are you going to do for that scene? What is your voice going to sound like?" And I'm like, "If I do it for you now, there's going to be no point for you to watch it. So I'm just going to wait for you guys I'm going to do it, and then you'll be like, oh, that's not like." What were you expecting? Something absolutely crazy? No, he's not good at acting. He's not a great Legoshi's not a great actor. He's awkward as heck. It's like he doesn't even know how to act.
You okay? Sis?
Yeah.
So I don't think we have a lot of bloopers, but we still had a ton of fun on the show.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my question was, how did Beastars, being a CGI anime versus a 2D anime, affect the dubbing performance or recording of it?
You want to talk about Kengan Ashura for a second?
Oh God. Yeah. So we've done. Jonah and I have done a 3D anime before. We did a show called Kengan Ashura on Netflix. It's a fighting show. It's weird. With regular anime, they don't do much in terms of animating the flaps, like the certain vowel shapes. So you can kind of get away with whatever you want as long as it's kind of timed out and works within what's there. With 3D, it's a little trickier. At best, you'd pay attention to like vowel shapes, labials, closures. If a line ends open, you want it to end on an A or a Y or an O. You want it to end on a vowel. And then if it closes, you want it to end on something. If it clenches the teeth, you want to find a sound that works for that. But at a certain point, you can only do so much because you've got to still make it make sense to what's there. So it's a lot of just kind of just kind of doing your best to watch out for those little things, but knowing that it's not going to be perfect. But Beastars looks really great. I'm usually not a fan of 3D anime.
Me neither.
I think it always ends up looking a little weird. I think even shows where they'll drop frames and try and like blend it so it looks like hand drawn, it still doesn't work. Beastars was the first one that I thought, this works for me. Like they did a really good job making it feel like alive, but also feel like hand drawn and flat.
Do you want to know? There's actually a specific scene that drew me into that kind of animation because, like Griffin said, I'm usually not a fan of that. The scene that actually just drew me in as it being so fluid and beautiful is the first scene where we see Louis, actually, where he's walking up to the memorial that they have set up, and the camera just kind of follows his face just all the way until we see his back. And I was floored by it. I was like, oh my gosh, that is it's a simple shot, but it's gorgeous and beautiful. That's what actually made me like, oh my god,
those tracking shots in like traditionally drawn anime will take hundreds of hours to draw, but with a 3D CG model that is cell shaded in the right way, 20-30 minutes of camera tracking can make that work. But yeah, mostly CG is used in shows to have a car go by really quickly, or have the buildings in the background look a little bit less rendered or something like that. But having a studio like Orange who specializes in that stuff, was it Landa the Lustrous is it's really good. Maybe season 2, I don't know. But they cut their teeth on that kind of thing, and they know what they're doing. There's a reason when people turn on Beastars, it's like this. You show somebody a still, and it's like, is that 2D or 3D? I don't know. They've pretty much perfected it. And honestly, there are other studios that are trying to like poach their abilities and figure out what they're doing in corporate espionage, just because everything they make is just so darn good.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you
for the
much.
question. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
And I wanted to know what voiceover programs did you guys use, and which ones do you recommend?
Griffin's got a good answer to that, I would imagine.
Sure, I'll just run through all of it. Okay, if you're recording from home, you basically need a quiet place to record that's not echoey, a microphone and an interface. Software, you need a patching software, which is basically gives you can send your audio signal high quality over the internet to whatever studio is recording you. There's a bunch of different ones. There's Source Connect Now, IPDTL, Connection Open, Session Link. Usually the studio will have something set up, and they'll just give you instructions for how to set it up on your own. If you've got Skype, Discord, or anything like that, and then if you've got like something to record on your end, Audacity, GarageBand, Adobe Audition, Reaper, Pro Tools, any of that will work fine as long as you can change the settings for sample rate and all of that. But for remote recording, it really what it comes down to is just having a good recording space and a good setup, being able to control your levels so you can turn it down when you need to be really loud, turn it up when you're really quiet. Other than that, the studios will give you instructions for like, hey, can you do that? Like for connecting to them and using Skype or Zoom for the video or different things like that. But it's whatever's available to you, use it as long as you can record in high quality audio. That should be fine.
Little side note, don't think you need to be an absolute expert or master at any of that either. For every studio that I work for, there's a different software that they're using. There's a different connection source that we're using. There's a different method. They'll all explain it to you in an email, but don't think you have to be a master at it or you have to be a super professional, because there will be hiccups. Every session that I've had remotely, there is at least one, give me a sec, I got to do this. Give me a sec, we got to figure this out. The writer has to get a script, the writer has to format the script right for you. It's all up in the air, and it's all a work in progress. So don't think everything has to go perfectly the first time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
awesome.
My question is, do you have any funny or interesting stories that happened to you in your career?
Oh man.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Do you?
Lauren
probably has she has a long and storied career.
I've been doing this for about 15 years. So, do I have any fun? Well, narrow it down for me as far as what goes. Like recording or convention?
Just in general, like overall.
I would say.
Okay, all right. I do. It's kind of a funny story. It's more recent. So, for those of you who don't know, I also voice Annie Leonhardt in Attack on Titan. And yeah, she's back, baby. So, she's been out of the show. Sorry, spoiler alert. But it's been out for a while now. Anyway, so she's been out of the show for about 4+ years. I don't know how long, but so I've been very, just anxiously awaiting. Oh, is she gonna come back to the show? Is she gonna come back to the show? So I went to a convention recently, and I unfortunately came down with a cold, and my voice was completely just so exhausted and thrashed from the show. And that week, I got an email from Funimation. They're like, "Hey, Lauren, guess what? It's time to come back into the studio." And I'm like, "Oh, for what?" They're like, "For Attack on Titan." And I'm like,
I thought I was dead.
I thought, well, I knew I wasn't dead, but I was like, I've been waiting 4+ years for this. They email me when my voice is completely thrashed and not able to record. And I was so upset. And so I messaged them and I said, "Listen, is there any way we can push this session to next week? Because my voice is incredibly messed up right now. I can't really speak. It's so tired and it's overworked. I can't do it. And I want this to sound amazing. I want it to sound good because I have not been back as Annie in real time for years now." And so I was just like, I really want this to sound good. And Tara emailed me back and said, "Oh yeah, that's no problem." And I'm like, great. So fast forward to when the episode came out in Japan where she comes back. I don't know if any of you have actually seen the episode, but the actual episode where she comes back, all it shows is her out of the crystal and she's just breathing.
That's a session fee, baby.
So I was like, I moved a session to breathe. That's all that I had to do. And I remember texting Mike about that. I'm like, "Mike, she doesn't even have any lines in the first scene she comes back. All she does," he's like, "Yeah, that's all you had to do."
Did you get a minimum on Titan?
I know, right? Exactly. So, yeah, that was kind of a funny story for me, at least, that I was so paranoid and so worried, I'm going to sound awful, when all I had to do was sound like crap, because she sounds like crap when she wakes up. So, to me, that's a funny story, but yeah.
I can finally, this is the first con where somebody has asked me a question that I can finally respond with a story that I knew was going to be a convention story when it happened.
No.
So this is the story about my very first in-studio session in Los Angeles. The first character I ever got to voice in studio in Los Angeles was essentially a microtransaction. I voiced a skin in Smite. In Smite, they have those poor artists, they put out dozens and dozens of skins every month. And they're all really cool, and they're all really neat little archetypal kind of plays on other tropey things. This is a robot version of a guy. This is the, grizzled futuristic version of a guy. But I got cast as who was it? It was Mercury, the god Mercury. And he's got a relatively, I don't care attitude. He's kind of like a rude, crude delivery dude. He's got that kind of vibe to him. And I thought I did really well. And I was very excited to go in. And there was I forget what it was, but it wasn't Sound and Fury, but it was another studio in Burbank that I had to go to. I went there. I had the address. I got the email from my agent. Actually, no, at this time I didn't have an agent. I got the email from the booking guy at Smite, Okra, Nazi.
Yeah.
Nazi was emailing me, and he's like, "This is where you need to go. This is what you need to do." And I was literally shaking because this is terrifying. I've never done this before. This is me living in LA for the first 2 years. I get in an Uber because I didn't have a car at the time. I get in an Uber, drive 20 minutes to Burbank, stand in front of the studio. I get there 20 minutes early. 20 minutes early for my, yes, I let them do this, an 8 a.m. session. 20 minutes. So I was there at 7:40, standing outside Burbank or Magnolia, just standing outside waiting, like on my phone, surfing Reddit, waiting for somebody to come unlock the studio door because I was too early. And the guy was there. He looks at me weird before he starts to unlock the door, and he's like, "You got work today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a session at 8 o'clock." And he's like, "Okay." He just opens the door and lets me in. I sign in. I go to the little kitchenette. Every studio usually has a little kitchenette, and you make some tea. You do some meditation, whatever you decide to do. Stretch, like couch, whatever. And I do that, and I sit there for 20 minutes, and I hear down the hallway yelling, and combat yelling for like a game. And I'm like, that voice kind of sounds familiar, but just kind of let it go. Make some tea, surf Reddit. Do my thing, just kind of relaxing, trying to chill, looking over some of the script that I got, that it's probably not going to be the script that I do. Not knowing that because it's my first session. Still shaking a little bit. It hits 8 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, I should be in a booth right now. And usually people usher you places when you go into a studio. They're like, come over this way, go to studio 2, sign this. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Nobody did that. I just kind of sat there for 20 minutes. And again, this is my first session. Didn't know that was weird. And I keep waiting. I'm like, this has got to be it. I am in the right place. I know for a fact I'm in the right place. This is the name of the studio. This is where I'm supposed to be. We're good, okay? Just keep waiting. Someone's going to come and get you eventually. There's people here. Somebody's screaming down the hallway. It's fine. There's people working here. 8:20. And I'm like, okay, something is wrong. Because I am very late. Nobody's come and talked to me. And I scroll through my email, and I don't see any clues. If I thought I was in the right place. And the screaming stops. A door opens. And footsteps come down the hallway. Just one set. And who turns the corner but Liam O'Brien? And he walks up to me, and there's a bowl of fruit on the table. He walks up to me, grabs a clementine, starts to peel it, and stares at me. And I'm like, hi. And he's like, you supposed to be here? And I'm like, yeah, I'm shaking. Or it's Liam O'Brien. He's talking to me at work, right? This isn't a convention or anything. And I'm like, yeah, I have a session here. And he's like, nah, dude, I'm the only one supposed to be here today. You must be in the wrong place. Sorry. Turns around, walks down the hallway. Doesn't say anything else. And I'm like, oh, God. So I double check the email. Turns out I got a phone call that I didn't get. And I call the guy back, and he's like, oh, hey, it's Nazi. You're at the right studio, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in Burbank. He's like, oh, you're supposed to be at the satellite studio outside of Burbank. I'm sorry, they must have given you the wrong address, man. At this point, we are 45 minutes into my 2-hour session.
It was your first session?
And my first session. Aww. And Nazi is like, hey, it's fine. Just get there and do what you can do. And little did I know, this is a Smite session. So if you guys don't know, a Smite session is a video game session, which means usually they're pretty friggin' quick. There's a spreadsheet that you do lines, and most of the lines are over here, over there, left, right, coming down, middle, that kind of thing, right?
Depending on the character.
The game scripts can get very verbose, but this is a tactical,
Smite.
Smite game. So it didn't take long at all, and as a matter of fact, even being as late as I was, I still got done early. I also didn't know that the engineer was hitting on me, but that's a different story. But yeah, there's your con story. I got told by Liam O'Brien I'm on the wrong place.
Aww. He was just looking out for you.
He was.
Oh,
He was
man.
being a G.
Thank you.
He had work to do,
Yeah.
though.
What about you, Griffin?
I'll tell two. I'll tell a short one that's about Liam O'Brien as well.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
And I'll tell
Liam
a
gets
slightly
around,
longer
guys.
one.
I'm noticing
I was
a
out.
pattern here.
I was out at coffee. I sat down at coffee. My friends were kind of going off and being loud and annoying, as some friends will do. And I'm just there, chilling, whatever. And I look over, and Liam O'Brien's sitting right next to me. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He's on his computer, headphones on, and you just see him every now and just go. And try and focus. And it's because my friends are being so loud that he couldn't focus. He eventually just goes, closes the laptop and leaves. And I'm like,
my God.
oh, and they didn't even notice he was there. And they were also voice actors. I was like, you guys.
Was this at
Yeah, I was at the place. Yeah. the hang.
Sorry, there's a site where
there's
people
a coffee
gather.
place. You know how in Power Rangers they have the juice bar at Angel Grove? Yeah, we voice actors have our own.
We got our own little central perk.
Yeah, but and the other story was I got to record for Raya and the Last Dragon, the Disney movie, and I got to go on the Disney lot. It was really, really cool. This was during the height of, so everyone was kind of. You got color-coded masks depending on which show you were working on, blah, blah, blah. Wow. So I get on the lot, and you're driving between these huge sound stages. But as you're doing it, people are like crossing into the sound stages, carrying equipment, blah, blah, blah. And they're looking at you like you shouldn't be there. And I'm like in my car like, am I going the right way? And I make it to the parking lot. I park. I look across the way, and the other show that's shooting that day is Blackish. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I park my car where they tell me to park, walk. And we record for like 6 to 8 hours. It's a long, long session. I get to walk around the campus during the break. I go into some of the buildings, see all the animation stills. I pass by the character voices office where they manage all of that. And I'm like, this is so cool. This is amazing. And end of the day, I'm walking back to my car, and now it's like it's a whole trailer like village. It's got all the dressing rooms and all the different actors' trailers, and my car is on the in the middle of it. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna walk my car. So I'm walking, and as I'm walking, I eye the security guard who's kind of like eyeing me, and I'm like, okay. And I look to my left, and the main star of Blackish, Anthony Anderson, is there. I'm like, oh, cool, Anthony Anderson. Anyway, I got to drive home. So I'm trying to get to my car, and the security guy is still like tagging me, and he does this thing. How many of you guys have seen Jurassic World? You know where Chris Pratt does the thing where he's got like one hand, and so I'm a raptor now, and the security guard's like, excuse me, sir, one hand Anthony Anderson, who's like 10 feet away, and then me, who's another 10 feet away. He's like, sir, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to my car so I can drive home. And your car's there? Yeah, okay. And as I walk past, it's still the hand. And I'm just like, sir, I got it, okay. But it was just, yeah, that was...
That's funny.
That is funny.
Thank you so much for your question, man.
So my question is, what is something about your individual characters that you personally relate to?
Oh,
Okay,
dear.
cool.
Jonah's awkward.
Okay. I'll go first then. I'm quite awkward. I am a bit of a dork. You've been to the streams, and if you guys haven't, please come to my streams. It's my second job, and voice acting does not pay my bills. But yeah, I'm a bit of a dork. I like to make people laugh. I'm rather introverted.
Is this your eHarmony profile?
Yeah. I enjoy long walks on the beach. But yeah, I feel like Legoshi and I have a lot more in common than I thought initially, just because of the journey that I've been on with him and the journey that I've not only been on with him, but the fandom itself, because I really, really, really like to engage the fans as much as I can. And because of that, I've had furries pay my rent for a year, and that's not. I mean, it's funny, but it's not a joke. Like they did. No, seriously, they've made it so that I could survive in Los Angeles and not starve. And I've been able to pay my rent and pay my utilities, and then maybe buy a video game every now and again. But for that, I really thank the fandom. I thank everybody that watches the shows. I thank you. And thanks for making Legoshi more than just a cartoon wolf. Aww. Anyway, top that, guys.
There's no way that I can top that. The only thing that I can think of as far as Juno and I having any sort of similarity is that she's a very sensitive girl. She's a very sensitive girl, and I myself am a very sensitive person. I'm also a very empathetic person. So I really, for her, she's more on the sensitive side as far as, her feelings go, and I can kind of extend to that to a degree. But that's really all, because as far as Juno goes, as much I love voicing her, but sometimes I'm like, Juno, girl, just stay back for a second. Let them do what they need to do. Exactly. So, but I do love Juno. But yeah, I think the fact that she's a very sensitive girl is probably
right.
Griffin.
Yeah. I mean, I'm taller than Louis. I'm a better actor, singer. I mean, We look very similar. That's something I found out.
that's true.
Oh, I posted my announcement when it came out in 2020, and the pictures. It was. I didn't notice it until it was out, and someone's like, "You look like the character." I'm like, "No, I kind of do."
And then we did those in-character shoots.
Yeah,
and
then
it
we
was
did
just
the
like,
in-character
what?
shoots, and I was wearing. They're like, dress as the character, and I show up, and I was like, okay,
He's got his full Joker suit on,
in
man.
the crimson red suit, and they're like, oh, you went all out for it. I was like, well, yeah, and
Ben did too to some extent. Ben
Oh, yeah,
had, like,
Ben-
a
Ben had,
vest
like,
on.
an
Did
outfit,
anybody
yeah.
see the Beastars photo shoot pictures?
We did a Vanity Fair, like GQ style professional photo shoot with our good friend
Maureen Price.
who is also a voice actress, and we all dressed in character. It looks like a magazine shoot. It looks really good.
so
It's my
great.
new headshots. It's
Yes.
it's great.
It looks
just go check
fantastic.
It out.
yeah.
But the serious answer is, yeah, I think Louis' biggest struggle is that he doesn't really know who he is. I think he's been will fill a role and just go for it, and it's why he's a good actor, and it's why he got as far as he did in both seasons, both pursuing the Beastar, being the Beastar, and then being this mob boss in season 2. Spoilers. But throughout all of it, I think he never realizes that he's just playing a character. He's playing a version of himself and kind of avoiding the truth of who he really is. And I think by the end of season 2, that shifts. I think he kind of starts coming to terms with like who he really is or who he wants to be. And I think I relate to that pretty closely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Julia.
I just wanted to ask,
That was adorable.
what was your guys' first day on set for Beastars like?
Oh man.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I like how we all had the same
Yeah,
reaction.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Griffin, if you're ready.
Yeah, my first day on set, it was funny. We recorded, I want to say 2 or 3 hours. We got maybe 4 episodes in, and I just wasn't feeling well at all. Like I was feeling really achy and really sick, and I was like really like getting irritated. I was like, oh gosh, like I'm not hitting my marks. I'm not doing that well. And as I'm doing it, I realize like, oh, the same thing's happening to Louis, because in the second episode or the end of the first episode, he breaks his leg, and he's kind of playing it off and taking these pain medications and just like trying to power through and stay focused. And I was like, oh wow, this is really like cool, like synchronous moment. But that was what my first day was like, just dealing with that.
I was told that I was going to voice Legoshi in another session at the same studio for a live action dub. So I was doing a live action dub of this Chinese movie or something. I don't really remember what it is, and probably never will remember what it is ever again. But I was doing this dub, and Bob wanders into that. It was being directed by Megan, and Bob wanders into the room and gets on the talkback in between takes, and I didn't see him at all because I'm looking. If he's back here, the glass is back here, the screen is in front of me, so I'm just watching the screen, waiting for Megan to talk to me in the headphones. And then Bob comes on. He's like, "Hey, Jonah, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm doing good, Bob. Thanks." I'm not weirded out that you're here. Your daughter is directing. It makes sense. He's like, so you got that part, and I'm like, and if you don't know Bob is a very meat and potatoes guy. He's very down to earth and he's very grounded, and he likes to screw with people. And I'm like, for what show? He's like, that animal show. Bob, you're gonna be a little bit more specific. And he's like, the one with the wolf and the deer. And I'm like, yes, but I auditioned for 3 characters in that show. And he's like, oh, right. I could hear the smile in his voice. And he's like, oh, right. You got the wolf. And I'm like, so I did like a little backflip in the recording studio. Didn't really do a backflip, but I had to like freak out for a bit because this was legit my first major voice role ever. And I had to take that moment for myself, and Bob knew, and Megan knew, and they were all kind of like, we're happy to be doing this with you and giving this to you. And then the next day, he's like, oh yeah, you need to make some room tomorrow because we're recording. And I'm like, okay, that's whatever you want, Bob. Anything you want right now. I get to be the wolf. So yeah, it was it took me back. I was like, oh, usually you get that stuff in an email, or your agent calls you on the Friday before or whatever, and it's like, you got this. But no, Bob took the liberty himself and was like, you get him, champ. And
Bob's a good guy.
Bob's a great guy. So that was my first day in the booth. Was terrified after that, but then we started to roll into it. Didn't want to screw it up, but yeah, I think we got it.
Aw. My first day, so I do not remember auditioning for Beastars. I don't think I did.
don't think you did.
I don't think I did. I think they just cast me
Bob
as
just
Juno.
picked you. And Laura. Bob just picked Laura too.
Yeah.
Which is dynamite.
So I went into the studio, and I didn't know what show I was recording for. I did not know. I go in, and Bob's sitting at the computer, and he says, "All right, so today we're recording a show called Beastars," and I was like, "What is it called?"
And you work on shows called My Ex-Romancer's Isekai Boyfriend
Exactly,
Woke
yeah.
Up with a Hernia.
Exactly.
Like what?
I was like, Beastars? What? I was like, wait. I'm like,
Beastars is
Bob,
relatively
what?
simple.
I honestly did not. I had never heard of it, and I was like, Bob, what kind of show are we recording here? And he's like, it's an anime, and I'm like, that still doesn't answer my question, you know. And he's just like, well, it's about this wolf, and he tells me, and blah blah blah, and he says it's about a wolf that falls in love with a rabbit, and carnivores and herbivores just, you know, they go to the same school, and carnivores aren't allowed to eat the protein that they should. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, but you play this wolf named Juno, who comes in and she kind of falls in love with Legoshi, who has no interest in her at all. And I'm like, great, awesome. And I was just, no, honestly, I was really excited because I love wolves. I love wolves, and the fact that I got to play a wolf. And funny enough, a couple years after Beastars came out, I recorded a DLC for Fire Emblem where female Robin got to dress up as a werewolf for
cool.
Halloween. So I thought it was perfect. I was like, oh my God, this is my calling. So I just got really excited. And the moment that I saw the animation, I was like, oh, this is weird, but I like it. And then after I was done with my first recording session, I went home and I looked up a couple clips, and that's when I saw the scene where, you know, Louis walks up to the memorial, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. So that was my
If I recall correctly, you texted me within days of your first session.
No, I
'cause
didn't know you at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah, you didn't know who I was.
Yeah,
and you had to go and talk to Courtney.
Coco,
Yeah.
Yes. So that's another funny story. So I did not know who played Legoshi, and I know that Ben Diskin, who plays Jack, Ben is also a huge fan of Beastars. He's a huge fan of Beastars, and I saw him posting about it on Twitter, and I messaged him, and I was like, are you in this show too? And Ben's like, yes, are you in it too? I was like, yes. And then he's like, I have no idea who's playing Legoshi. Who's playing Legoshi? And I was like, I don't know. It's this guy named Jonah Scott. And he's like, oh, Jonah's going to be perfect for Legoshi. And it was awesome. And then when I found out his name, I remembered that my dear friend Coco over there, who is Jonah's girlfriend, I've known Coco longer than I've known Jonah because she was my handler at a convention. And I remember her saying, oh, yeah, I started dating this guy. His name's Jonah. He's really sweet. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then I remembered. I was like, wait. And then I went on and I made sure, and I messaged her and I said, are you still dating a guy named Jonah Scott? And she's like, yes, and I know what you're talking about, and I'm so excited for you. And I'm like, yes! So it was amazing. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was like, it's a crazy small world.
Yeah. So
Thank you for your
Thank
question,
you,
man.
and you look amazing.
Whenever you guys are voicing your characters, has there been a moment where you're like, I really don't like you right now, where you really don't like your character and you don't like their actions?
Oh, wow.
No.
Not when you're voicing. When I first watched the show, I did not like Louis. I was like, I hate this guy. And I had watched the show right after I had finished auditioning for the show, and the minute I said that, I was like, oh, if you're in this show, this will be the character you play because you don't say that. You can't judge your character. So, but now while you're recording, when you're recording, you are, you're
you
in the
feel
character's
that.
world. You're thinking and feeling what they're thinking and feeling. So
There was a lot of watching Beastars and then like a lot of watching Legoshi and having a what are you doing moment. So like, yeah, I guess you could consider that hating the character. I don't know if I have a few other characters that I really don't like. Well, I have characters that I really don't like, but they're for different reasons. But yeah, there's a lot of Legoshi, like, what are you are ignorant. You are an asinine fool. Like, what are you doing?
I just want to sometimes tell Juno, girl, back off. Like, just back off. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Thank you.
I absolutely adore your guys' delivery, and I can't see any other specific voice actor doing what you do for your character. However, if you wanted to voice a different character in the show, which one would it be?
Oh, we've answered this before.
Yeah,
Kibi.
Ooh,
I'd be Kibi. Yeah.
Bill.
Why not Haru?
Yeah.
Why not? Why
I could see it.
not? Why not? Haru.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could,
Thank you.
Thanks.
I was wondering, what is it like watching your voice come from a character instead of yourself? Is it
Okay.
Somebody asked me if I get freaked out by it, and honestly, I stopped being freaked out like 15 years ago because I've been doing this for a long time now. I want to watch it because it's cool, you know, but I don't really watch it for myself. I watch it for these guys. I watch it for my friends in the show along with myself, if that makes sense. I like watching our scenes together.
Yeah.
That is truly rewarding for me.
It is very neat to see how all of it pans out and how all the scenes that you are doing by yourself come together with everyone else. Another weird thing that I have had the absolute privilege to be able to experience is Dying Light 2 playing a first-person action RPG protagonist from start to finish. My whole voice is there. Everything the character is saying is me. Every reaction, every grunt. That, in my opinion, was a different experience than watching an anime that I'm in, because I'm able to reflect back on a lot of that stuff. Recording a video game is such a long, time-consuming process. I forget a lot of the stuff that I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, different reasons for different things.
Yeah. Going off of that, I have two stories. The first time I heard myself on screen, like in a movie theater, that shook me. It was a film called Fireworks. I was one of the kids in the movie, and it's weird because well, it was cool because like I had a bunch of my friends there and we got to experience it together, so that was a nice moment. But there is I had that disconnect where I'm like, oh, that's not me, that's some other guy, like, or the character or some other actor. Like I disassociate automatically. But with video games, when I voiced Genki in Spider-Man, that was weird. It was weird.
Oh, that was
because
so exciting to hear your voice, Griffin.
Yeah, it was very.
Oh, really?
I was playing Spider-Man and I was like, oh, it's Griffin!
I heard you in the trailer and you had said nothing, and I'm like, is that Griffin?
Yes.
But that one's weird because he's the voice throughout the entire game, guiding Miles throughout the whole game. So that one it's basically just me. So, and my wife played through the game like immediately when it came out. So that's a weird experience because like I can't help but go, oh, that's just me. Like why am I in the game? It kind of takes takes a little bit for me to like. And then you forget the lines, and you're like, "Oh wow, I forgot that. Oh wow, I sound tired there." Like, I sound
like I have a head cold.
Yeah,
that's not good. That's in the actual thing.
Thank you guys so much.